Okay, everyone, I wanted to share this with you, but I wanted to share it as a student would see it so that you can see what, since it's going to be for their use, what they would have to do on the slides and what I've included. There is a little bit of front load work for the students when it comes to the graph. But once they get them set up, they're good for the rest of the year. And it's really easy to change the data and put in their numbers as they go through each unit. So on this front page, what I would probably have my students do is go ahead and take out student and type in their name so they know it's their data notebook. On the second slide, I have a table of contents. What you'll notice is each of them is linked. The links are there just strictly to make it easy to skip ahead to slides easily. So for example, if we're gonna put in a math pre-assessment grade score, I want them to really quickly be able to link right to that so it's not gonna take forever. You'll notice on each of the screens, there is a home button. So if you click on that home button, it will take them back to that table of contents, just some ease of use to get around the document. So the first piece of data that I have in here is our MAP scores. So the students would come in here for both ELA and math, and they're going to go ahead and include their score and the norm score. You'll notice I have the norm scores written in here for math because I teach math. I don't have them yet in for ELA. For fifth grade, I'll need to make sure my numbers are correct on that. You'll notice we have the domains down here. So in the past, we've had the students go ahead and highlight the text. So if literature is an area of need, they would highlight it yellow. And let's say vocabulary is an area of strength, they would highlight that green. This goes along with some of our conferencing that we do with students. So although they're putting the overall assessment on here, it's not without having a conversation with them. I'm gonna go ahead and remove those highlights just so I can leave it as a clean document. On the next slide, each quarter here in our county, we are required to grade the students or report on the grade card their behavior habits. And so you'll see at the top some of the numbers that we assign them or some of the areas that we can assign them. So I'm going to have the students do a self-assessment here. So each quarter they'll go in and they'll put in, and we'll have a conversation about it again, what it means to be exemplary versus what it means to be approaching. And they can then self-assess and give themselves a score. These are all text boxes. All these white boxes are text boxes, and so they can put their score in there. On the next slide, I have goal setting. So using our MAP scores, the students will set an ELA fall goal as well as a math fall goal, and then they'll put their action steps in for each goal. And we do that for fall, winter, and spring. On the next slide, I did put in all four content areas. So there's ELA, math, science, and social studies. I put in, you'll notice some of our um, county assessments that we do, as well as some of our pre and post assessments, as well as our formatives. So the first one I put in is our F&P phonics and sight words. I do put on here the end of year expectation at the bottom, but the students will just go ahead and fill in where they're at for each of these so we can, monitor their progress. And we do that 3 times a year. On the next one, this is where there's a little bit of front load work for the students. And so I plan on doing this with them to show them how this works. But once they have this set up, it makes it really easy for them to chart their scores on pre and post assessments in all of the categories. So this is how it works. So you first click on it and you'll notice that it's linked. So the student will click on the link, and I've set it up so that the link will automatically make them make a copy. So the student would click on make a copy, and the computer's a little slow. The student would then type in their name up here, and this would all be saved in their Google Drive. So I'm going to pretend I'm a daughter, so I'm going to put Maddie in there, and now they have a copy of the document, but in their Google slide is the original. So, or I guess a copy of the original. So what they're going to do is they're going to delete that out, and on their Google sheet, they're going to go to the chart, and in the upper right-hand corner of that chart, there are 3 dots. So they're going to click on the dots, and they're going to go to copy chart. They're then going to go back over to their Google sheet, and they're going to go ahead and paste it in. So they can go to edit and click paste, or I like to just do Control V. This will automatically come up, and they want to make sure that it's clicked on link to spreadsheet, because that's going to make sure that anytime they update their information in the spreadsheet, it's going to update their chart. So they're going to want to make sure that that's clicked. And now this is linked to that spreadsheet that the student has made. So what that means is, as the student's going along, I'm just going to put in some scores here. So let's say they got a 50% on their Unit 1 pretest, and they got 100 on their Unit 1 post-test, and then maybe a 25 and a 70. You'll notice that it's updating this chart here. And obviously, oh, gotta press enter. It's updating the chart here. Well, when you go back to the slide, it's automatically linked to that. All the student has to do is click on this update in the upper right-hand corner, and it'll automatically include the chart that was on their spreadsheet. So it's linked to the spreadsheet, so it'll automatically do that. Now, the pain in the neck part of this is that the student will have to do this for each graph. So same thing here, ELA biweekly illuminated assessments, the student will need to click on it. They will need to make a copy. So this will take a little bit of time in the beginning, but hopefully once you have them all set up and the students have them all set up, and the setup is the same for all of them, it'll make ease of use later on down the road, and it'll be good for the year. So again, I have the student put their name in, they click on the chart, they're going to go ahead and click the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner of the chart. They're going to click on Copy Chart, go back to their slide. They can delete the one that's there, and they're going to paste in, which I like to do Control V. It'll say Link to Spreadsheet. We'll click on Paste, and now this is linked to that student's data. So when I come back over here to the student's data, let's say week 2 and 3, they got a 70. Maybe the next week they got a 50. And then they went back up to 100. You'll notice that it's updating this chart here, but again, if they go back over to their sheet, or their Google slide, they just click on the word update, and it'll automatically link it and pull it. And so you'll notice that on these, I was thinking it was biweekly, but then I noticed that there are more of them in there, so I may change this later on. But for now, you'll notice it says 1 and 2 on the chart. It's 1 and 2 and 2 and 3. And so that's why there's data in between those two. So it's only just for ease of use to be able to view it. That's why it's only doing every other week, but you can see the data in between those weeks. So that's those 2 spreadsheets. On the next one, I have writing samples. So my idea was that the students, as they're typing in a document, they would just, when they finish their document, give the title here. So thinking of a writing my daughter just did not that long ago, Oreo cookies. I can't remember what all it said, but then they would just click on that, and then I would have them link in that document. So wherever that document, whatever the link is of that document, which I don't have any samples for that right now. And I would have them do that. I just put in for 4 samples here. So that way it's kind of like a writing portfolio section of it that parents can go back and view their child's writing. And since we usually have students type their writing, it's just a great place to kind of house everything. For social studies, again, I do the same pre and post assessments as well as weekly formative assessments, which are those assessments from the county. Same thing, students would make a copy. They would then go over to the chart, click on the 3 dots, copy it, take this one out and paste it in here, and it'll link right to there. So I have those 2 for social studies. Then I have math. For math, we do give the gloss. And I put the end of the year expectation in here. And then again, I have the pre and post for our units, as well as, oops, skipped it, the weekly formative assessments from the county as well. Science, again, pre and post and weekly formative assessments will finish it out. So there's a lot of graphs on here. And again, each of those graphs will take that copying. But once the students kind of get the hang of that, it's the same process to get their data in there for each one, and then it's good for the year. As always, if you have any questions or need any help, or I'm going to make this so it's editable. So if you like a slide or you don't like a slide or you want to change things up, you can. But I will share this out to you. And if you have any questions, you can contact me. My email is Stacy with an I, STACI, dot Stimmel, STIMMEL, at henry.k12.ga.us. Thanks so much for watching.